more specifically, Regiment de Biarn. I know that I'm wearing a red coat. Please do not get me confused with an Englishman. That might make your stay here worse. I'm joking, okay? But basically, I am a corporal in the French army. I'm dressed in my habiliment, or the clothing that I was given, of course, from the French government. Let me start off by talking from the head down to the feet. I do have a chapeau on. The chapeau is going to be a hat. If you go to France today, you can still buy a chapeau. Other hats we were wearing were also toques. Anyone know what a toque is? It's a knit cap, okay? You might wear it in the wintertime. Okay, but that's going to be a knit cap. It's going to be a fatigue cap here in Canada, but this is going to be the nice fancy hat that I get to wear when I'm actually doing the gun, okay? Or walking around the fort, or for parade, okay? But the hat is going to be made out of wool felt. The hat is black. There's not really good any documentation for brown hats. Most likely it was going to be a black hat you were wearing. Hats were also made out of what?
Wool?
Beaver.
Oh, beaver.
Okay, beaver fur felt hats. Those are going to be quite expensive. They're still expensive today, but they last a lot longer than these hats. Those hats actually have to be passed down. This hat is not going to last very long. It's a basic soldier's hat. I have false gold lace going around the hat. The English, in my opinion, were very boring. They give their soldiers white, worsened wool lace to put around the hat, and they reserved this stuff for their officers. The French gave that to their lowest soldat, their soldier, okay? I have a white ribbon in my hat. Over time, the French and about every other country in Europe, okay, decided to give their soldiers the same color cockades. Guess what color the French cockade was?
White.
White, okay? Just like our flag up there, that's actually the maritime French Marine flag, okay? That's a Navy flag. The Navy was in control of Fort Niagara during that time, even during 1759. But I do have a white cockade in the hat. So the hat is usually worn to the right. We call it a cock cap. You might know it as a tricorn. I have a shirt on, okay, it's a chemise. French shirt. It's going to go down to about my knees. I'm not only going to be wearing the shirt during the day, I'm also going to be wearing the same shirt at night, okay? Each year when we came over from France, you're given 2 cotton shirts. That's what you survived on for 1 year, not washing them very frequently.
That's fun.
Isn't that nice? Over that, you see the coat that I'm wearing right now, it's called a vest. It's going to be the undercoat usually in Europe. At times in North America, it was considered the overcoat, just because of the changes in climate here in North America compared to Europe. It would normally be your officer's job to tell you whether to wear your juste de corps, which would be the larger coat I'd be wearing over. Thank goodness I'm not wearing it today. Okay, very humid out. The officer would actually tell you to strip it off, and that's usually what they're doing in the West Indies and Haiti. Okay, we all know what Haiti is nowadays. Okay, French colony at the time. There were French soldiers wearing wool uniforms, just like me there.
Oh gosh, that'd be horrible.
So I do have a vest. I have breeches on as well. Troop de terre, so the regular army never got rid of their breeches when they're here in North America. They wore them every day out of the year. You had 1 pair a year. You had 1 vest, okay? And then you changed that out. Your larger coat you had for 2 years. So the breeches, kind of like the modern day capris, they're so popular amongst the female crowd. Okay, as in they usually go at the knee, and usually they tighten around the knee as well. Mine do as well. Mine are buttoned around the knee, prevent my breeches from falling off in the middle of the battle. Okay, about 5 buttons. I have what we call bas, or wool stockings on as well. Okay, and of course their stockings are going to go around my leg pretty high, going up to about my thigh level. On the outside of those stockings I have what we call gaiters. Gaiters are going to be kind of replaced by leggings, okay? Native Americans love to wear leggings. The Europeans figured out, easier to make, no buttons, you just had to slip them on like a tube sock. Most like what Pat Benatar was wearing during the 1980s, okay? Leg warmers, okay? They're going to keep your legs warm, but they're also going to protect them. These protected your legs. These are made out of linen, white linen, okay? They're going to prevent rocks from getting inside of my shoes or souliers. With a buckle, so book, okay? These shoes, buckled shoes, I'm not kidding, they're almost completely made out of leather besides my steel buckle and my steel heel plate. I'm horseshoed, okay? So when I walk around, it sounds like a horse, okay? But they turn every hard surface here into an ice skating rink. So it's not too fun in the winter, okay? Especially here when this entire part of the fort is one giant sheet of ice. Okay? I do have leather parts on me as well. These were going to be lasting 5 years. So as a soldier, you had to actually take care of your stuff. Okay? I have a frog belt. Okay? Frog is a derogatory name for a Frenchman. I suggest you not calling me one today. Okay? It's going to be an ultimate utility belt and everything on it to harm an Englishman. French infantry axe normally be replacing a sword. We don't know exactly where they would have been holding it. Most likely it would have been where the sword actually was. This is a French infantry axe or a tomahawk. Okay? Almost the exact same thing the Native Americans were carrying around. Okay? And it was a very useful tool. You Europeans figure out. Very useful tool in North America because the sword is nice and long. It's going to get snagged on anything you're walking through. I also have a bayonet. Okay? It's going to be made out of steel, very cheap steel or very expensive steel. Cheap, okay? King Louis XV decided to put money in the Palace of Versailles instead of giving us very sturdy bayonets. So what do? You add a third side to it, preventing from bending inside the human being or breaking. You don't want that happening. So you can insert that on the end of the barrel like so. You're actually going to lock it in place. You want to lock it in place because you want it back after you're done playing with it. Okay? It's going to be a nice skewer. It's going to go inside of the Englishman. It's going to leave a very large and very destructive triangular hole going through him. What can you not do with a triangular hole? You can't sew it up, so you're going to have at least one hole left open. Things are going to be leaking out and possibly even crawling in. Because some of you have eaten lunch, I don't want to see it before me. And that's as far as I'm going with the blood and gore. Okay? The other good thing with this bayonet, you're going to have nice gunpowder caked on the inside, which you're going to see from the gun in a little bit. That nice gunpowder consists of 3 main ingredients: charcoal, sulfur, and saltpeter. There was an order given by the king to be able to raid any barnyard of feces. You boil that feces or cow manure, and all that nice crystal stuff you get, that's saltpeter.
Ew.
A very stinky and smelly job to have in England or France at the time to actually make gunpowder. Okay, but that's actually going to make it explosive. So that's going to be caked on the inside of here. Bacteria, right?
Yeah.
It's going to be on the inside of there as well. And that nice British Grenadier is going to be cleaning off my bayonet for me. Isn't he nice, okay? But the bayonet, do you think it is razor sharp?
Yeah.
Not
No,
at all. It's
not
not.
really.
It's very dull. You did not want to stab somebody, you actually wanted to more, so rip them open. Okay? With a blunt object. Great thing with the bayonet. Now the gun here. Probably going to be my girlfriend while I'm here in North America. Most likely she was going to be back in France. I could find a nice lady from New France though. Okay? But this gun right here is called the Saint Etienne. Okay? We called it after the city was made. They still do produce arms in Saint Etienne. Most likely they're tanks. Actually the Leclerc tank, okay? Same company that made this gun makes that gun, of course, after combining with a few other companies, okay? But this gun has 3 main parts. I have lock, stock, and barrel. Has anyone here ever bought something lock, stock, and barrel? Please tell me you have. It's the complete thing. It's also the complete gun. The most complex part of the gun is what we call la platine. 3 main parts in la platine. I have what we call le chien. The chien is the French name for dog. Inside of its jaws or its beak, it's going to hold a piece of flint. Flint is a rock. It's going to scrape across the metal plate, which we call la batterie. It's going to be made out of steel. Flint hitting steel produces what? Sparks, okay? Sparks are going to be set down into what we call la bassinet. Where a small minute charge of powder is going to be poured. I want to be careful I don't pour too much because I want my eyebrows. Okay? That's going to explode. It's going to travel through a small touch hole into the main barrel, which houses the main charge. We only fire about 1/3 to 1/2 of the powder we would have in the 18th century. Guess why?
Why?
That's one of the reasons. Okay? But we're not actually looking to fire a projectile outside of the gun. We want to save as much powder as possible, okay? We're not firing a real projectile. Because we don't want to put holes into anybody.